Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are diving into yet another controversial statement made by economic freedom fighters, EFF, leader, Julius Malema. This time, he has made it crystal clear that his party is not interested in what he calls rotten buildings, but rather in seizing farms and mines. His remarks have sent shockwaves through South Africa's political landscape, reigniting the heated debate over land reform and economic redistribution. So, what exactly did Malema say? What are the possible consequences of his statements? And most importantly, could South Africa be heading towards drastic economic changes, or is this just political rhetoric ahead of the elections? Let's break it all down. Malema's controversial remarks. During a recent public speech, Julius Malema reaffirmed the EFF stance on land expropriation without compensation. He emphasized that the real wealth of South Africa is not in deteriorating buildings but in the country's farms and mines. In his own words, these deteriorating and rundown buildings are not what we should be looking for. We are the owners of this item. In our possession are the farms. Malema didn't stop there. He went on to stress that the EFF's primary focus is on the redistribution of wealth, particularly in mineral-rich and agricultural regions. He believes that by reclaiming these resources, the economic disparities created by colonialism and apartheid can finally be dismantled. According to Malema, land and resource ownership should be transferred to the people of South Africa, specifically Black South Africans, to correct historical injustices. The divide, supporters versus critics. Unsurprisingly, Malema's statements have divided the country. Supporters of the EFF see this as a bold and necessary move. They argue that land and mineral wealth have been concentrated in the hands of a privileged few for far too long. One supporter expressed on social media, "I agree with Malema. The wealth of this country should belong to all of us, not just a select few." Many believe that his stance is a beacon of hope for those who have been economically marginalized for generations. However, critics are deeply concerned about the potential consequences of expropriation without compensation. Business leaders, economists, and even some political analysts warn that such a policy could destabilize the economy and scare off foreign investment. South Africa's agricultural sector, which plays a crucial role in food security and employment, could be at serious risk if farms are taken without proper plans for sustainable management. One skeptic questioned, what happens after the EFF takes these farms and mines? Without proper management, we could be heading for economic collapse and even greater poverty. Historical context: why is land reform such a big deal? To understand the magnitude of this debate, we need to look at South Africa's history. The issue of land ownership is deeply tied to the country's painful past. Under colonial rule and later apartheid, vast amounts of land were taken from Black South Africans and redistributed to white settlers and corporations. Even after the fall of apartheid, land reform has been slow, and economic inequality remains a massive issue. The current government has implemented some land redistribution policies, but many believe these efforts have been insufficient. The EFF, under Malema's leadership, has been pushing for more radical measures, arguing that the only way to address these injustices is to take direct action, by force, if necessary. Potential consequences: what could happen if the EFF's plan becomes reality? If land and mines are seized without compensation, South Africa could face serious consequences. One of the biggest risks is economic instability. Investors could pull out, agricultural production could decline, and unemployment could rise. Zimbabwe's land reform program in the early 2000s is often used as a cautionary tale. After farms were forcibly taken, the country faced food shortages, a collapsed currency, and economic decline. But on the other hand, some argue that if land redistribution is handled correctly, it could lead to economic empowerment for millions of South Africans. Countries like Rwanda have implemented land reform policies that benefited local farmers and improved food production. Could South Africa learn from these models? The political implications: is this just election talk? With South Africa's next general elections around the corner, many believe that Malema's statements are part of a broader strategy to mobilize voters. The EFF has always positioned itself as the party of the poor and the working class, and land expropriation is one of its key campaign promises. But will the EFF actually follow through on these promises if they gain more political power? Or is this just a way to gain votes? Critics argue that while Malema is good at making strong speeches, the EFF lacks a concrete plan for how land and mines would be managed post-expropriation. Without clear policies, they warn, the country could face chaos rather than progress. The bigger picture: where does South Africa go from here? One thing is clear: land reform and economic justice will continue to be major topics of debate in South Africa. Whether you support Malema's views or not, the reality is that the country still struggles with deep economic inequality. So, what's the solution? Some believe that a balanced approach is needed, one that promotes land reform while also protecting economic stability. Others argue that radical change is the only way forward. What do you think? Now, we want to hear from you. Do you agree with Malema's stance on land and resource redistribution? Do you think expropriation without compensation is the right way to fix historical injustices, or do you believe it will do more harm than good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this discussion interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth political and economic analysis. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.